Hey everyone, welcome back to Badum Biz. It's Paul here. I'm here with Anthony. We are joined today by a very, very special, exciting guest that we've been looking forward to having on for months now. Adam Marshall, codename Dennisson. That's what he goes under. It's his artist moniker. Well, let me just introduce you to Adam real quick. I've known Adam now for, I'm going to say, nigh on 20 years. Myself and Adam used to play in a cover band together in the UK. And Adam was a huge driving force, one of the main songwriters and the lead guitar player in Susie's Field, who I spoke about in my first podcast with Anthony, if you'll remember, Ant, fun day. So Adam is a multi-instrumentalist, and the list is endless. Multi-instrumentalist, singer, songwriter, produces his own music. I might need correction here, mixes his own music, creates everything himself from home, for the most part. Writes in multi-genres, jazz, pop, Americana, singer-songwriter genre, a little bit of even electronica, hip-hop stuff in there, synth-based, guitar-based, something for everybody. He's been writing, he's had multiple EPs out over the last nearly 20 years now, starting with his Dennisson EP, 2005, all the way up to his latest release, Home Life, 2020. And Adam Marshall does not waste his evenings, guys. This is a man that works hard. He's also a professional musician, married, father, and he's joining us as of right now via Zoom from Jersey. He's in Old Jersey. We're in New Jersey, Ant.
Right.
So we got the two jerseys connected. Adam is in Jersey in the UK. Adam, good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. Thanks for having me on, guys. Looking forward to talking to you guys. And that was quite a long introduction when you think about it. Yeah, 20 years. It's been a long time, hasn't it?
It has been a long time. Adam, I was thinking about this in the car earlier on, and usually what we do is, myself and Anthony have had a few people that we've known on here, and we tried to go, well, I know Adam from, I want you to tell me, where do you remember first meeting me?
That's a good question. So it would have been around 2000, 2001 maybe. And I think we may just have seen you. I do recall watching you guys at the Bridge Bar, which is a bar that I think your dad used to run it at one point, didn't he? Mm-hmm. In Jersey. And it was you and your two brothers. It was just the three of you, and I think it was a Sunday evening. And you used to have quite a few good Sunday sessions, didn't you, in the evening on a Sunday in the Bridge? I think they were the classics, weren't they, on the Sunday?
They definitely got messy. I'll tell you that. Yeah, for sure.
I don't think it was the same night that I met you or spoke to you or saw you play or whatever. But I do recall one evening, me and Matt were sat on the balcony above, looking down and watching you. And some guy at the bar decided to, during, I think it was The End by the Doors, started to just strip naked and start dancing around. And you just thought, what the hell is, is he part of the band? What's going on here? But he was abruptly just removed from the premises. But that was memorable. And then I think we just maybe after the gig or maybe in Chambers or something, we might have met up with you and we sort of got together and started chatting. And then eventually, we said, why don't you come down and play some songs? Maybe went to your place at Apsley Road and maybe came back and had a jam session a couple of nights. Who knows? I don't really recall from then. There's just little snippets that you remember, of those days.
I mean, we might have enjoyed a drink back then, Adam. Yeah. So we from time to time we might have gotten a little bit drunk. Yeah. Anthony, have you ever had somebody strip at one of your shows?
No.
No?
I mean, I almost feel like I'm missing out. I'm a little jealous.
Right? I mean, it was a guy. I can't remember what his name was, but
Hey, man,
I remember.
you know,
Yeah,
it's
he was a good looking guy. You know,
no judgment.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So Adam, you were playing in another band. So we lived on this very small island, and you were playing in another band, and it was kind of, we were the only two young bands doing what we were doing at the time. So you were in a band called Phoenix,
Mm-hmm.
and myself and my brothers were in the original Susie's Field. And I think my first recollection of you guys was we had started playing Chambers, and then like 2 weeks later, I heard that, hey, there's another like band around your age playing in Chambers called Phoenix, and we went to see you guys. And I don't think I talked to you that night, but we checked you guys out, and we kind of just naturally gravitated to each other because we were the same age, we were playing similar music. And then I started to go to see you and Matt at the St. James. God above the St. James, we're doing your two-piece. So
Wow.
So there you go. Yeah, that's way back in the distant past, Anthony. That is like, you know, we're talking standing stones and mists in the distance and like Celtic music playing. And
but Paul and I, you know, we've played hundreds, close to 1,000 gigs together. Is it similar with the two of you? You just have played together so much.
Adam, have a guess. How many gigs do you think we played together?
A lot.
I mean, we were doing over,
I don't know,
300 shows a year. So it was,
I remember doing, I think it was something ridiculous, like 5 gigs in one day on a Sunday. I think that was the record.
Yeah.
So how you even do, so the last gig would have been like, 11:30 at night, and the first maybe lunchtime. So it was just back to back. Those sorts of, you know, they were quite rare, but still we were putting in the hours.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about
it was good fun.
Yeah, good fun, right? It was busy times, but yeah, I mean, I think 300 shows a year is probably conservative. I think we did. I mean, we were doing 2 every Friday and 3 every Sunday minimum. You know, so it was busy times. Yeah. But so we started playing together, when you wrote a song called "Alone." Do you remember that?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, how that came about was my recollection of that was I think Jinky was involved, wasn't it? JJ Gill, another artist that you guys were playing with, and I think I was recording with him something on mini disc. Do you remember mini disc? Mini disc recorder.
I mean, if you're a bass player, just don't bother with mini disc, right? It was just like we're just it's fine.
The dynamic range is like that. So yeah, we just went round to his house, and I was just there providing this little 8-track thing, and he was working on it, and I said, "Oh, I've got a couple of songs," and he said, "Well, why don't you play them?" So I played a few of them, and he heard Alone, and he said, "Oh yeah, that stands out. Let's do that one." And then I think we played it to you guys, and then Ali came up with that intro guitar, do 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 do, and then, you know, we maybe jammed it for a bit, and then then we recorded it, of course. One of the only two or three, I think, well, maybe only 2, I think we did in Gilbert O'Sullivan's place.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me. It's we were talking about experiences. Talking about experiences with somebody the other day, and it reminded me of something that I forget that happened to us together. Anthony, this was the craziest thing. So I don't know if you're familiar with a singer from the 70s called Gilbert O'Sullivan.
Nah, I'm not.
No, so he had some really big pop hits. Alone Again Naturally was one of them, and I think he had a song called Claire or something. I wasn't. My aunts were like big fans of this guy, but we recorded in his studio in Jersey. That's where he lives. And when we were up there recording, we were recording for 2 days. He like invited us into his house. You were there, Adam, right? He invited us into his house, to his like music listening room, where he had like thousands of CDs and these like really great speakers. And we spent like like 2 hours or something chatting with like one of the best songwriters of the 70s. And we were just like,
Wow.
this is amazing. It would be like, I mean, this guy was like in the realms of like Cat Stevens.
Gotcha.
And like these kind of guys like James Taylor, like a really like a songwriter.
That's cool.
Obviously a UK based guy, but it was like a really kind of cool joint experience we had.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when we started writing together then, Anthony. And then we started with Susie's Field. So all of that stuff you can hear on the first Susie's Field album called Mirrors. But what I'm really interested in, Adam, is, and what I'm really a fan of, because it's kind of weird when you're playing with somebody, you're working on their music, but now I get to sit back and listen to the music that you've written yourself and produced, and it's incredible. It's really great stuff, and it sounds like from the music that you're in a really good space in your life. So, tell me, last 5 years, what's been going on with you?
Well, so last 5 years, I think I got married nearly 5 years ago. So 5 years ago in August, I want to say the 9th, but let's cut that bit out. I'm not sure what my anniversary is. But I got married 5 years ago. And so that, that's not really changed my approach or in any way, or changed the way I look at music. It's just, I tend to keep them separate, the personal life, although they have to overlap at times, but I do try to keep things separate. And in terms of professional stuff that's been going on the last 5 years, I was playing with Matt Still in a band called The Reasons, but I think around 5 years ago I just didn't have the time, to give it, playing chambers till 1 a.m. on a Wednesday night. It's just not going to work anymore for me. Particularly when I have to get up and go to work in the morning. So I was playing bass there, quite busy doing functions, going to Guernsey, our sister island, as you know very well. And then that's when I started really spending a bit more money on equipment. Not that you need to spend money on equipment if you want to write nice songs and record them. I mean, it's not a necessity, but I did have the money to invest in good gear, and just maybe I think 5 years ago I focused more. So that's when I maybe released my first EP around 5 years ago, that I didn't record myself actually. I recorded it with another guy over here called Wilson Nash, who he is like the custodian of the Gilbert O'Sullivan studio now, and he also has his own equipment and stuff. So he produced Gilbert's latest record actually, which was quite successful in the UK and I think in Ireland as well.
Yeah.
He didn't produce it, sorry. He sort of engineered it. Ethan Johns produced it.
Okay. Wow. All right.
So so working with him was cool, but it just gave me an insight into how much it's moved on since we were doing it. When we started doing it with mini disc players, as I said earlier on, and 4 tracks and stuff, you couldn't really get much out of that sort of equipment, I don't think, in terms of releasing it. I mean, we did, but to take it to that next level, you had to go to a big studio with a big mixing desk like Gilbert's and spend money.
Sure.
Whereas now it's become so much easier. So around 5 years ago, I took the decision to invest in some equipment, such as you can see. I know this is a podcast, but you guys can see it, like the treatment on the walls.
Okay, right.
The speakers here that you can't see.
Yeah.
And all there's some preamps there and stuff like that. And so, then after that first EP, I got the taste for it, and I started recording just one-off singles for a while, for maybe a couple of years, possibly.
Yeah.
Which is good, recording singles. It sort of focuses the mind, so you can whittle away at a song that you think's cool and you like the vibe of it, but then you get to record it and you think, well, I don't really want to spend too much time on this because it's just not a single. When you hear a single,
sure,
even if it's your own song, I think you can be objective enough I can anyway, to say that's not a single. No one wants to listen to that again and again. It's just not very exciting, or it's not it's not going to connect with many people because it's too personal to me or whatever.
Sure.
And so because I'm so limited in time, because I'm working full time and stuff, I just like to focus on like one song and try to create one good song, rather than create a body of work, which is quite an investment in terms of time and resources and stuff. So that's what I did for a while, and then lockdown came last year, and I found that I had a bit more time to release an EP again, which is a three track EP.
Because I know, so the structure of your discography is very interesting, and it's a very kind of streamlined way of working. Is you got your initial EP, which was 2005, and then you did the Lamb's Tail EP, and then you released a series of singles, which I really, really liked that, because every few months I get a little bit of Dennisson in my life, and it's actually a really cool way of working, and it was a lot of fun, like getting the notification, listening to the new stuff. So the one that you were talking about, where you recorded with the producer and engineer, that was the Lamb's Tail EP, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. It's very, very good. It's actually got one of my favorite songs, is Center of Everything.
Yeah, I love that one. It's such a good song.
It's great, right?
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things about it from listening it to the first time, and this is something that's in. I can't think of any songs right now that it's in, but there's a bunch. You have a beautiful. So the chords are great. It sounds very deep lyrically, but then after the first chorus, you have this or the second chorus, you have this piano part, which is playing this beautiful riff. But there's like the second half of the piano riff, there's this anchor note. And I don't know what note it is, but I don't know who played that piano part, if it was you, Adam, or somebody else. But if you listen to it, it's got this like one note that's going all the way through, and the chord is like moving around this note. It's so nicely done. I mean, I don't know. Anthony's a music teacher. He could explain it better than I could, but
what do they call that? Is that called a suspended? Is that what they call that? I see. You're asking me. It's like I did theory 15 years ago. So
it could be. It could well be a sus. It wasn't me that played it, because I'm nowhere near good enough on the piano to do that sort of riffing. But he's basically copying what I was doing on the guitar. And it was a guy called Robin Hart. Really, he played piano and keyboards on the whole EP. He was just brilliant, really, really good. You'd basically just put him in the studio and give him an hour, and he'd have the part, and he'd be ready to record it, and he'd do it in like one take. He was a bit like a Paul O'Keefe in that sense. He was a one-take wonder.
Well,
he was a one-taker.
I've been called a one thrust wonder, never a one-take wonder.
But yeah, so he was really, really good, and he all that. I think if you give the opportunity to someone who's a good musician to play on your record, you just say, this is the song, play a part. I'm not going to tell you what to play. You play what you feel, what you hear. Because if you start trying to say, no, play it this way, play that, I think you're going down a bit of a blind alley there, and you're sort of trying to control too much what's happening on the record. And so that's basically what I said to him. I just said, here's the song. I think maybe went to his house, and he just sort of, I'd play the song and he'd play along, and he came up with that lovely, lovely part and recorded it at Gilbert's. In fact, that piano, that's his Bluthner grand piano.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
Paul and I have talked extensively about what you just said, which is to give some creative control to who you're asking to play. And I think, Paul, maybe I'm quoting you and how you said it, but you're basically asking the person to put their spirit or self in your song. That's why you chose them, by telling them what to play. It's kind of like counterintuitive, or you're canceling out that part of them, because it's almost like you don't want me to play. You just want a guy or a gal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But no, I want Paul or I want Adam on this track, and I'm going to let them create the part. because I trust them. And I think you just get you get such a better piece of I guess what the puzzle of your song would be, I guess. It's way more, it means more.
Yeah, sure. And I think for the player, for the guy who's playing, if he's looking over his shoulder thinking, oh, is he going to like this? Is he not going to like this? He's not going to completely relax and go where he wants to go with it, because he's going to be sort of pulling himself back all the time, or herself, just thinking, oh, is he going to like it? Is he going to say this is shit and make me start again? So I think, you definitely got to just, if you make the decision to get someone in to do something, let them do it, and stay out of it. I think unless they do something that you just think, oh, yeah. But then you question why you made the decision to get them in the first place.
And that's the thing, isn't it, Adam? And I'm sure Anthony will agree that if you hire a session musician to come in and play on your music, and they're not playing something that you like, that's actually on you for hiring them. Like, you shouldn't be blaming them, because if you buy a tin of paint and it goes on the wall and you don't like the color now, even though you liked it in the store, it's on you. I mean, you've made that decision to get it. So it's cool and refreshing to hear that. And I think a lot of songwriters are like that, but sometimes you come across people who are like, they'll hire somebody, or they'll ask somebody to do something, and then they'll be like, no, I want you to do it exactly like this. So plus you're also getting, something that I've always wondered about humans is like, is what I see as orange the same as you see as orange? Like, and I think that's a very interesting thing with session musicians and songwriting, is you're getting that other person's perspective. Like, does it taste the same to that person as it does to me? And it's, when you translate that onto music, you're basically saying to somebody, here's my song. How do you see it? How do you feel it? That's a wonderful thing to allow somebody to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
sure.
awesome.
Have you guys, I don't write songs. I don't write lyrics. I've never written a full song like that. I've helped complete other people's songs. So I don't really know what this is like, which is why I'm asking. In the beginning, is there a time before you learn what we were just talking about, this lesson of give away the control, trust the musician? Did you ever have moments of being too precious with creating the song? Or
yeah, that's a tricky one. So I don't think so. If I've written a song and I like the lyric and I like the chord sequence, so effectively the publishing, if I like the the bit that you find in the book, the chord book, if I like those bits, all the other stuff on top that you put as part of the recording process, I think that is, I'm quite open to that sort of stuff. The cherry on the top. I'm quite happy with people coming in, and I might not necessarily like it when I first hear it, but again, it's one of those things. I think as soon as you like the sentiment or the lyric or the feeling that it's giving you, I don't think it matters too much what other people put on top. It can only add to it, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, sure.
Unless it's a poorly performed part, or there's a buzz on the whatever. There's something that the execution of what they're trying to give to the song is not worked somehow, and then you just go back and do it again, because that's sort of an objective thing. It's not really what they're playing; it's the way they played it. So so to me, I don't think, in answer to your question, I'm not too precious with it, really. And the older I get, the less precious I become, even with the lyric now. And if someone said to me, I don't like that rhyme, it's just it's so trite, it's so cheesy, I'll change it, because I'd probably agree. And I'm not too, unless it was something that really meant a lot to me, I wouldn't, I'm less fragile when it comes to people criticizing, something I've done, I think, as I've got older.
Yeah, Adam doesn't give a fuck anymore. That's what it is. Right? I love it. I love it.
It must be really good to record and work with you.
Yeah. I'm pretty open.
You're open, and that's so cool, because I'm telling you, I've experienced the exact opposite. And
really?
It's not fun.
Me too. Yeah, I have too. I mean, I will say, one of my enduring memories of working with Adam directly, and Anthony, this answers your question, is when we were wrapping up. It was one of the last days of tracking in New Orleans for Blossom, and I had the song called If You Were Here that was not finished yet lyrically. We had everything else, but we hadn't finished the lyrics. And I don't know if you remember it the same way I do, Adam, but I was struggling. I've always struggled lyrically, and Adam sat down with me in the studio and we finished writing the lyrics for that song. And I think it ended up being a very good and interesting song lyrically. And that's what working with you, that's what my memory of working with you is, Adam. Very open, easy, collaborative. You know, I don't think I've ever seen you be precious about anything, precious to the point of damaging to your music. And that's, you know, that was a really cool collaborative experience for me, because that was a co-write. That was a complete 50-50 co-write. That If You Were Here lyrically, it was really interesting to work like that, you know, with you. It was cool.
Yeah, I do remember that, actually. I think, but that was an interesting whole experience, that, because there was such high pressure getting it all done in whatever it was, 10 days, a whole album. And I sat in the live room, and we just ran through it. And I think it was Ali's idea to sort of reference the songs, each song,
sure,
in the actual song itself. You know, song titles, which is a really interesting idea, and those sorts of things, when it's working, and you know, someone comes up with an idea like that, it just gets you, it just gives you direction. And it doesn't always work like that. I mean, of course, we would have had times where it's just a struggle, and you know, you just think the song's rubbish and you want to throw it away. So you know, those sorts of times, you just got to take a step back and just say, we'll come back to it another day, leave it.
Sure.
Don't try and force those things, because you know, if they're not coming naturally, you know, it's a difficult balance, because it's so easy to say, oh, it's not working, forget it. I'll leave it. That's the easiest thing to do. The hardest thing to do is to finish the damn song, you know, and get through that hurdle, get over that hurdle of, and it just throws you into doubt, and you start doubting everything about it. But just getting together and just saying, right, I think that was the good thing about that recording process, was that we had a deadline and we had to get it done. So even if you're not 100% happy, just move on to the next line, or the chorus or whatever.
It's you got to keep the momentum going, because you got 5 guys who need their parts done and everything. Yeah, you're totally right. That was a pressure cooker, like 10 days and six days live tracking. We were there for 10 days total.
In August in New Orleans, like one of the hottest places in the world.
Yeah, literally the hairiest person in the world was with us as well. Matt, we've spoken about this at length. So bringing it back a little bit. So first off, the one thing that I am very, very interested in hearing from you is, obviously we're here in the US, myself and Anthony. How, obviously the pandemic, very, very large effect in the world at large. How's it affected you guys there in Jersey? And is it still affecting you guys being able to perform, or are you guys good to go now?
Well, so let's rewind. So it sort of hit here. Just after I'd come back from the US, actually, I did a little tour with the family from Nashville back to New Orleans for Mardi Gras and back up again. So if I'd have come back like a week or two later, I could have potentially been stuck, because I think Trump closed the borders in around early March. So that was quite lucky that we came back in time. So once it hit, you know, fully, everything just stopped. You know, when it came to gigs, that was it for maybe 2 months. And then I started playing regularly at a hotel, doing sort of gypsy jazz quartet. So that started for around, I think, summertime it started again. And then I think, like for Matty, you know, places like Chambers, I think that hasn't done live music since around March of last year. Wow. And there's talk that they might not do it again.
Where?
In Chambers.
Wow, really?
So there's no live music at all.
That's crazy.
Wow. Still, so me and Matty played last night in a place called The Square, which is not far from Chambers there, but it's more of a restaurant, but they do have a bar, but you've got to be sat down when you go in. And so for me, it's a nicer experience because it's not, how do I put this politely? It's not like the yobs that come in and just say play Oasis or, you know, whatever. It's people that are sat down having a meal, potentially a bit more respectful of the musician than you know, 10 blokes walking in, stood at the bar, don't really care that there's a musician playing in the background. So in terms of that, it's sort of a good thing in a way. But I think next month or later this month that might change. So I think there's talk of the restrictions being lifted.
Yeah.
But you know, Chambers might not open either, which, Paul, you know that's one of the biggest venues here for live music, and for that to not have any live music it's not a good sign.
Well, it's weird though, because that venue in particular had just been renovated, right? So they were just getting back to kind of ramping up everything, and then like that is, Anthony, that would be like it's difficult to have some sort of analogy for New Jersey, but let me think. It's just such a small place, and this was the venue. This was
kind of like a Rockwood.
Kind of like a Rockwood for original. If you're an original artist in New York City, and Rockwood said, "Oh, we're not going to do gigs anymore. We're just going to do food or something," and cocktails. It would be like, because what you're saying, Adam, is they're not closing down, right? They're just not going to do music.
No, they're just not going to do live music.
Wow.
So they're just going to have that's my understanding of it. They're just going to have a DJ. But hopefully, if anyone from Randall's listens to the podcast, I'm just going by rumor here. I don't know anything about any plans, but I can say that they haven't had any live music for a long time.
Yeah.
But the decision as to whether it's going to stop in the future, I don't know. But it'd be a big loss, particularly for guys like Matty who rely on that gig.
Yeah. So we've referred to Matt quite a few times on the podcast so far. Matt's a very close friend of ours, Anthony, who also played in Susie's Field. But you guys are obviously working together now. So hopefully, hey, if anybody from Randall's is listening to this podcast right now, which I'm sure, Adam, with your marketing genius experience, they will, because they're in Jersey. Like live music is it. Live music is that's what music is. Music is meant to be played and heard live. And if you don't have live music, you're the thing is, it's crazy, because I find people are like, the same people will be like, oh, I fancy going out to see a band tonight, are the same people that stop having bands in their own venue, and like they wonder why there's no bands around. They wonder why the music scene's so crap or whatever in places. It's get your live music back, Chambers. Anthony, I'm sure you'll agree, right?
Oh, fuck yeah.
We'll send Anthony over there.
Yeah, that was something I was thinking about today. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm noticing, I don't know if I'm making this up and I'm just being a grumpy old bastard, but whether live music generally with the younger people is on the decline, and whether that's just not something you're seeing at all, or is that something you think is on the way? Or
Mr. Frida, take over.
All right, well, my theory is I think that if we're going to look at how we grew up as teenagers, the spirit of music was attached to the personas that we would see on TV and in movies. So it was very easy to fall into like listening to a certain band or something, and then dress a certain way because it looked like you can identify with a certain character in a movie. Now it seems as though there's no product that people are following people who just have followers and do a dance on TikTok. So in a way, it's sad. It's scary to think about that, because they don't seem to value a live music experience. But I question whether or not I question the quality of that live music experience, or if they've even ever seen a real one. And I don't know. Music is way too powerful. It's especially live in front of you. And when you hear that magic, and where you actually you physically feel that magic in front of you, I don't know if that's something you can ignore. After being exposed to it. So I think, we just got to keep fighting to get on stage. Like good musicians need to fight for stage time, and just keep playing and play. Another thing we talk about is play because you love it. Try not to play for the money. Don't chase the money, because you're gonna find gigs you don't love playing if you follow the money, right? So I don't know. I'm a little optimistic, but I feel like it's in the musicians. It's in our hands. What happens? That's just my opinion, though. But and I don't even know if I made sense what I was talking about with this younger generation. But it's how fucking crazy is it to think like we used to idolize an actor or an actress or a rock star, you know what I mean? Pop star. These people, they worship somebody with 9 million followers who just has like a 30-second video on a TikTok or Instagram. It's wild to me.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's I think I think young people nowadays, people that are obviously younger than us, I think they have more access now. They have more access, so they've gained that. They have more access. Musical instruments are cheaper. Recording equipment is more accessible and readily available. But they're suffering because of what you're saying, Anthony. It's instant. It's the age of instant gratification.
Yeah.
It's the age of you don't need to actually do anything. All you have to do is do something for 30 seconds that will distract people. And like when one of the most successful videos on the internet is a cat pretending to play the keyboard. That's when you know that we're in trouble. But and I think what it comes down to is I think you have to separate original music from just people going out and playing other people's songs. And
yeah.
I think that's where like original music and focusing on original music is where the future is. And that's something that cannot be ignored, is good songwriting and good creation, good art,
Right.
Yeah, sure. And so what I'm getting from it as well is, there's a big fight for attention, because I read a stat the other day on Spotify or something that there's something ridiculous, like 40,000 songs uploaded to Spotify every day. I mean, that is just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
It's so easy nowadays to record the songs and get them out there to the world. They're accessible via the streaming platforms quite easily. But so you're fighting for the attention to get people to listen to it. But what happened to the guys? I think Dave Grohl's done a film about it. The guys that rehearse in the garage and just try and get really good at their instruments, and then go out on the road and just do gig after gig, a bit like we did, Paulie, gig after gig, and trying to get noticed that way, rather than the social media platform, which is contrived in itself, because you're sharing pieces of yourself and trying to look a certain way or whatever, and doing videos and 30-second clips, and you get influencers, and you're just trying to get followers and likes and clicks and whatever. What do you reckon that there is still an appetite for that with the younger guys to just learn their instruments, go out and play gigs, or are the gigs simply drying up that they just think it's easier to do it from their bedroom via a streaming platform? I don't know. It's just where that's going to end up.
What do you think about that, Anthony? Coming from the point of view of somebody that teaches young musicians.
It's all about exposure. I had a drum student that came in and was pretty proficient, and because he was listening to the Beach Boys and watching videos and picking up just by looking, just by watching and listening.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved the Beach Boys. But that's one of those things where it doesn't mean he never heard anything else. He just, when he saw and heard the Beach Boys music, something lit him up in his brain, like, oh, I love this. They sat him down behind a kit. And then there we go. And then eventually he's the Beatles, and we're learning Come Together, and he's like, "Oh my God, I could play this." So it's really about exposure, and you have to ignore. You know what? A big problem is ageism. I think ageism plays a part in this. So like, why would there, like, the thing of, why would I listen to the older generation's music? This is my generation's music. So there's an ownership, but it really shouldn't be like that at all. It should be, is there a thing, do the Irish have songs that all generations know?
Yeah, I mean, we have, you have your classic songs that, and they're all, funnily enough, myself and Anthony, Adam, met through playing in a wedding band. And in Ireland, and I was speaking to a couple of years ago, I was back in Ireland speaking to a guy who has now a very successful wedding band in Ireland. And he said in his Cork accent, he said, it's a great thing, man. It's great because the wedding set list in Ireland never changes because all of the generations know these songs. I mean, weekly I listen to ABBA. Weekly I listen to ABBA. I listen to at least 10 ABBA songs a week. I listen to at least 5 Neil Diamond songs a week because that's what I listened to growing up, and that's staying with me. And it's not just music to me. It's the music that my family gave me, and the music that my aunts and my dad and my grandparents gave me. And I love it. And, I think that is something, I think younger people rebel against that more. I mean, I was talking to somebody at work a few months back who said, he said, "Oh, I was listening to a song the other day. It was like an older band." And I'm like, I was like thinking, what did it go like? Was it like guitar? And they're like, yeah, I kind of went like this. I was like, oh, that sounds like Led Zeppelin. They're like, no, it's an old band. I'm like, was it like The Who? I thought it might have been Bob O'Reilly. Like they were like, it's got a great keyboard part in it, but it's like an old man band. It was fucking Muse. It was Muse, guys. Like this 22-year-old employee was like, it was like Muse is an old guy band now, and it's so I think we're missing that a little bit, but I think if we get that back, because it's all about legacy and inspiration for me. I think there are great young artists nowadays. I think a lot of especially in the US, a lot of the better artists, if you ask me, are coming from immigrant communities. So we have that a lot more here than you guys do in old Jersey. But I think it's about, Anthony is 100% right. The word that I was thinking, and you said it in your first sentence, is exposure. It's all about exposure and immersion. And I think if we get that back, listening to records when they come out, just sitting down and listening to it, listening to the radio, being inspired by the people that went before you is, but the thing about it is that, like, they weren't, the people that went before us, all three of us, people of the similar age, they weren't assholes. All these artists are assholes now. I mean, we had real leaders to follow. We had,
that's a good point.
We had people like Freddie Mercury and Dave Grohl and all like Eddie Vedder. We had these guys to look up to. The people after us had Liam Gallagher. I mean, what's Liam Gallagher gonna inspire anybody to do? Eat chips and fucking make my own tea now. Have you seen that video, Ant, where he's making Adam, where he's making his own tea?
No.
Oh man, you gotta YouTube it. It's classic. It's one of Anthony's favorite videos. Yeah, we used to have a lad used to do this for us. Now we got to do it ourselves.
Adam, speaking of like exposure at a young age, I was going to ask you, like, what music lit a fire for you to pretty much, start the path that you're on and still continuing now?
So that would, sort of a mixture. So I started playing around 13. I think my dad got me a guitar, an electric guitar, really terrible Les Paul copy. with like plastic pickup. It was really bad. But he also had a guitar and acoustic in the house. So I remember getting Songs of Freedom by Bob Marley, his like compilation book, you know, the chord book. And so those songs, I mean, I used to listen to Bob Marley a lot when I was a kid, I say, you know, a teenager. And that sort of, that got me into, I think, songwriting. And I just, that got me inspired to learn how to play the instrument initially. You know, I just used to know that book. I used to go from songs through the songs in that Songs of Freedom chord book until I knew them all. And then I do remember having the Nirvana albums, the early albums. Was it called Bleach?
Bleach, yeah.
I think the one before Nevermind, and then Nevermind. And so I used to listen to that I remember going to being on a minibus going to a football match. I was playing football and having it in my earphones, and we were sharing it, listening to it. And it was just like this. What is this stuff? It's amazing. It's so energetic, you know. And that sort of gave me my electric side of things, sort of kicked off from Nirvana, basically, I think. And then I sort of hung around with guys that weren't really into mainstream pop music at the time. So interesting you mentioned one of the Gallagher brothers there. I was never really a big Oasis fan, I must say, or Blur. I wasn't really a pop music fan in the 90s when I was growing up. So interesting you said exposure before. So my exposure was, I was always looking back. So I was listening to the Doors, Velvet Underground, the Jam, the Kinks, the Beatles, those sorts of bands. And so maybe I think it was just the clique that I was in. So I was in a band at school as well when I was like, I think the first band I was in, must have been about 14 or 15. And we used to do Velvet Underground, and I think we used to do The End as well, like we did in Susie's, I think, for a while. And it went down terribly when we did it when I was a teenager, you know, because people were like, what's this? Why aren't you playing Oasis, or why aren't you doing this or that? Because we just weren't into it. And perhaps that exposure, just once you start looking back, you keep on looking back, and you keep finding these lovely nuggets. And it's not always the right thing to try and stay contemporary. I think you do have to dabble in and at least listen to some of the stuff that comes out of now, because there is some good stuff. It's not all bad. I mean, it's impossible for it to all be bad. But it's really important, I think, if there's any, you know, young musicians listening out there, to look back, particularly in the early stages, to see how these guys did it before you can sort of look forward and take it where you want to take it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a particular song that I wanted to ask you about, and it's a song that myself and Anthony were talking about before you came on. It's called Greystone Waltz.
Man.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
Right.
Wow.
It's such a good song. Amazing.
It's one of those. It's a song. It has like a vibe of like it's not just a singer songwriter song. It's a masterpiece. When I listen to it, I'm like, holy shit! It's so deep. There's I don't know enough about it, but I know that there's so much behind the lyrics, and I can hear even in the arrangement of the song. There's something deep to that.
Springtime wonder, rolling on, Greystone, open the door. You won't be living in fear anymore. Greystone, open the door. You won't be living in fear in this cloud.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, let me sort of cast my mind back on that one. So that's from the first EP. So I recorded that with you guys were on that one, I think, weren't you, doing the BVs?
That's
So
right.
I seem to remember I recorded that all at home on an early sort of version of a hard disc recorder that Frank Torsney lent me.
Sure.
And I think it was an 8-track thing. So I seem to remember that the three of you guys sang it together, didn't you, into one microphone?
Mm-hmm.
I might be wrong there, but I have memories of that. And in terms of the theme of the song, so yeah, sorry, let me get back to the song itself, not the circumstances around the recording of it. So that came from there was a story in a newspaper, I think, that I was reading, and it was about an old guy who lived alone in England somewhere, I think it was, and he was so terrorized by kids who thought he was just, putting stuff through his letterbox. Just whenever he'd come out of the house, there used to be people shouting at him. Just because he was a recluse, there was clearly rumours about him as to whatever he was or wasn't.
Right.
And he basically killed himself because he just couldn't take the strain of just people judging all the time for absolutely no reason. All he wanted to do was just live in his house and live a normal life. But because he perhaps wasn't socially gifted or didn't want to engage with anyone, there was suspicion surrounding him, and he just got all this hatred directed at him, and I just thought it was just such a tragic story, and I couldn't believe it. And so that was where that came from. And it's strange sometimes how a song, just from a story you happen to read from picking up a newspaper, gets recorded and goes on to an album that you did 15 years ago and you'd forgotten about it. It's just the first time I've ever thought about that. But yeah, it was from a story I read in a newspaper in summary, that song.
Wow, man. That's
crazy.
I mean, that's the part of music or creating music. It's hard for me to, I don't know how you do that. How you take a story and then just start forming. And then what comes first? Is it a melody? Is it an idea of a phrase or something like that? Does it change?
Yeah. So that would, in that instance, it's probably, it's always music first for me. It's always vibe, I'll start. At the time I was playing a lot of acoustic guitar, so it would have been, I was in a sort of Nick Drake mindset. And so it was strummy acoustic guitars, and the 3/4 time gave it the waltz, thing, the waltz name.
Yeah.
And then Greystone. I don't even think that was his name, the guy's name. I don't know where Greystone came from. It was just one of those things that you make up.
Sure.
It's quite easy to do with names and stuff. But I think for me it's always a sound or a sequence, or it was probably just that boom diddle diddle doom 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 diddle diddle doom. That's just where I went with it, and it just came from there. And then I always hear harmonies. I just can't leave it alone with the harmonies. I don't think I've ever written a song and recorded a song that just has me singing one vocal line.
Right.
There has to be more. There has to be others. I either double it, or there's an underlying harmony. Or on that one, I just went for it and I said, "Come on, boys, let's just throw some big harmonies on this one." Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. I remember recording it, and I am completely. I'm just hearing about what it was about now, so it just makes, I'm going to go right after them. I mean, I think we should, at this stage, boom, you're listening to Greystone Waltz right now.
Yeah.
We'll pop it in so that people can hear it's one of those songs that has such an atmosphere to it and such a melancholy to it, and it really does communicate. And now that I know what it was about, that's very moving and that's exactly the type of thing that we like to talk about on this podcast, because it's really like very elemental, and it's cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, cool.
Great subject matter.
Yeah,
and then on that same EP, you also had a song called Molly, which is not about drugs, guys. I don't know if you guys call it Molly. I guess is it ecstasy, Anthony? I don't know.
It's a form of it, apparently.
Okay, so they call ecstasy Molly here, Adam.
Okay.
It's not about those things. If I'm correct, and I'm going to need this explained to me, because I've given various people a listen to this song. It's based on a character from Animal Farm.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So yes, it's a horse in Animal Farm, who. The horse the character was quite vain, I seem to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole book was just an allegory about I think it was basically the Russian rail, communism in general, but that was his outlook on it. But each animal sort of represented, I think, something or a type of people, type of person, or a part of society.
Sure.
So I'm not sure, and I don't know why I was. It's just one of those things where, you know, why the hell am I writing a song about a horse in a book that I read at GCSE?
If it's good enough for Father Ted, it's good enough for you.
Yeah.
So you're good.
Scarlet ribbons that the people gave you. Watch your reflection in the stream. Watch your reflection, but the people made you stare, made you care, made you wear scarlet ribbons in your hair. Sweet is the sugar in your heart.
Exactly, but I mean, so it's interesting that the two songs you picked on are both from stories, or for, you know, one a real life story and one a book, but that just sort of came together really nicely, the way, because you're sort of standing on the shoulders of giants there. You're working
Sure.
from things that have already been written in a book, so you're just developing it. So it's really sort of fertile ground there, you know,
Sure.
for writing, because you're not just plucking stuff out of thin air. You know, you're not plucking feelings. You're really you're writing about something that's there and is real. So yeah, and that was just started from me messing about with that sort of the picking thing, where I'm sort of double hitting the D string with my thumb and then my fingers. So two fingers are hitting so the index finger and middle finger are hitting the D string and G string at the same time.
Okay.
And then in between you hit the D string with the thumb. And so that sort of weird, again, it's a sort of throwback to Nick Drake sort of right fingerstyle acoustic guitar vibe.
Sure.
And I'd have just been playing that for hours, just thinking about melodies and stuff. And then I'd have read the book, or I don't know why. I must have been reading the book at the time. I can't think why that suddenly come up. And then, you know, you get that theme and just bang, away you go.
Yeah.
You just got loads to work, and then you just hit that G for the chorus, and it's it just really came pretty quickly. In fact, I think the lyrics and the whole song.
So here's what you did basically. You, in a EP containing 4 tracks, you wrote 2 completely different songs, one based on a very, very real situation in like somebody's life in the news, and then you wrote a song about basically it was inspired by another piece of art, and why not? That shows a lot of range, and that shows that you're not afraid to, there's no subject that you're afraid to write about. And I think that's why you're such a good songwriter to me. That's why you're such a, like, I was listening to your songs today, preparing for the podcast, and it shows so much range, and, you know, it's a very, very cool. It's a very cool thing. That was your first EP, and it's quite Americana and like it's folk influenced, but like it's just some of the stuff on there is haunting, and now it's more haunting because, you know, we know what it's about, and it's incredible. Obviously the technology has changed a lot since then. Has your process for songwriting changed, or is it just whatever? Is it a song by song basis? It's a different process for each song.
I think, to give an honest answer, I think it has changed. Previously, for instance, for that record, I would have known how to play the songs and be able to play them through before recording them. Whereas now, I generally like to work in Logic from the get-go, and, you know, have a loop going, and just sort of arrange it on the fly. So that's the way the process has changed for me, because it's so easy, and I don't know if it's lazy or not. It's just adapting to the technology that's available now, where you're working on a screen all the time, and you can just cut that out. You can tune that post. You don't have to get it right on the take. You know, with drums and stuff. So I don't have to work with other musicians, but I don't. That's something that I don't like at the moment. I'm pretty much doing everything myself, and I miss the fact that it used to be I'd play the song to other people in a room, and we'd all hear the song and put our own little bit on it, and you know that there'll be live drums. I haven't worked with live drums since that the Lamb's Tail EP.
Wow.
All the other, it's all been processed drums,
Wow.
which is easy because it's on Logic. You've got that drummer thing that I've used, or I've got electronic drums or whatever. But there's no human element to it, and that's what I miss.
So that song that's programmed drums?
Yeah. So it's the drummer thing.
I mean, it sounds real.
App. It does. It does sound
sounds so fucking real. Wow.
It does good.
When you leave this place, hungry and running this race. But when you feel this pace, you grind to a stop. Even if you run away, you can take it with you when you go. Please don't know. Even if you run away, you can take it with you when you go. Please don't know. Please don't.
It sounds really, really good, but it's just not quite the same. And just for me, recording live drums, it's impossible in this room. And to record them properly and get them done and mixed right, it's difficult. It's hard. Particularly if you're not going to add any sort of outside samples or anything. If you want to get really good drums sounding really good, you need to go to a studio and get the professionals involved, which is at a cost. And you know, streaming, you're not going to make any money out of this, so you're trying to limit your costs. So unfortunately, that was one of the things that I had to sacrifice. So in terms of my process, I'm much less prepared, I suppose. The songs are less prepared before they're recorded, and they're almost recorded at the same time. As sometimes, I think even for that Don't, for instance, you raised earlier, I think the lyrics, I had the track and I just used the top line, they call it, I think nowadays, where you just sing along a melody, and when the melody comes in, you play it back and you think, oh, I like that little sample, oh, I like that little bit that I was just doing there. You just going blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Just looking for melodies.
Sure.
And then coming back and then attaching the lyrics to them afterwards, and it sounds like I'm sort of letting giving an insight into it, like a magician's sort of thing, where you're revealing the trick. But I think that's what a lot of people do nowadays. That you get, I think some people are professional top liners. They'll get a beat prepared or a track prepared, and these guys will come in and just sing over the top nonsense lyrics, but or sometimes they'll come out with lyrics, but it'll generally be melodies. So I suppose that's the way I'm adapting my process. Although, I mean, I'm contradicting myself here, but the latest EP, the one that's the Home Life EP, that was pretty much, I recorded them at the piano. Wrote them at the piano, and so they were finished songs before I recorded them. So apart from those three, the other singles are generally, patchwork put together in Logic, whereas the Home Life one is more organic, more traditional, if you like. The way I used to work.
It sounds exactly, that song Comes and Goes. That was the idea I got from it. It sounds great.
I've been chasing it down when it comes and goes. It comes and goes. The twos and fro's. The twos and fro's. The things you know will get you where you wanna go.
It sounds amazing. And obviously, Home Life as well. You got a guest vocalist at the start of the song Home Life. I could hear him a good set of lungs already. Tell us who that was.
That was Teddy, my son. So that was a year ago when he was, I don't know what he was moaning about, but yeah, he wasn't happy about something. And in fact, he features on another song. I can't remember. He features on one of the singles. Let me get my singles up here.
Is it the start of Wistful? Is that Teddy too?
In fact, that's my niece.
That was
my
before. Yeah, because Teddy wasn't
exactly. That was before he existed.
Would have been impressive.
So, it was. I can't remember what it was. So yeah, I went through a phase of just getting weird little samples to start my songs,
right.
And that was Millie on Wistful at the start.
Okay.
And then I don't know which was the other one that Teddy. Single number 7 is him on the cover art.
Right.
I think he might feature on there somewhere.
So is he already hitting you up for performance and royalty checks there? It was great.
Wait for that one.
It's great. I mean, it's great that you you're at a stage in your life where you're inviting that into your music and you're sharing it with people, and the artwork is very it's very positive and very, and we've all experienced this at various times of our life, that you weren't always there. Like, you weren't always in that pause. Like, none of us are always 100% in that headspace. And, it's good it's really nice to listen to this music, having known you for as long as I've known you, having seen the things that you've gone through, the things that we've gone through together. And it's a very cool kind of positive. It's got a really heartwarming, happy ending, which is kind of nice, Yeah. It's like, you're the guy that we destroyed a bollard in Paris with, and we've been through a lot of. Anthony knows that story, and been through a lot together. So it's very cool to hear the culmination of your life come out in music. It's great,
Yeah,
it's awesome.
I think if you're gonna share your art, your music with the world, mm-hmm. I don't mind sort of sharing my son. There's a little snippet of me and Gemma talking about Teddy. We didn't know why he was crying. Blah. I don't mind sharing that, because I'm sharing way more than that in the lyrics to some of the songs than just me chatting at home or whatever, or putting a picture of my son on the artwork. I mean, I don't need to be coy about this. I can share pretty much anything with whoever wants to listen. I'm not trying to hide anything.
That's so cool. One day he's gonna be like, see this? That's me.
Yeah. It's gonna be playing it for all the girls at school. That's me singing in the background there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Adam, I gotta compliment your guitar playing, because as a drummer, I'm always looking for a pocket or a groove, and it's kind of a curse. I'm always looking for a groove to settle into when I listen to music.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Molly. Pretty much every song I heard from you that had a finger picking guitar, dude, your rhythm is smooth, man. What a pocket. And I always love that if because as a drummer, I always want to serve the song. When somebody is playing the guitar and then accompanying themselves singing with the guitar, and the rhythm is so good, I almost feel like I don't need to touch this. And I think that's something I always look for when I'm in a vibe of like, I can go for something more easy listening, deeper today. So yeah, man, that hit the spot.
Cool, nice one, thank you. Yeah, and it's talking about rhythmic playing. I don't really. Me and Matt play. I play acoustic guitar generally now when we do the gigs. I only really do 2-piece gigs with Matt, but I also play bass now. That's pretty much my predominant instrument at the moment, and it has been for the last 4 or 5 years. So I really enjoy playing bass now. I never used to play it very much, because why would you when Paul's around? But I'm starting to get into it a lot more, and I'm into the rhythmic side of things. So you have to have a good. It's all about getting a good rapport with the drummer when you're in that live scene, which I'm playing every Friday now at the Savoy. as on electric bass, because I'm not good enough yet on the double bass to play live. So it's really good, important for me to get in with the drummers now and really get locked in with them, and as people as well as as players.
Yeah, I've always found your guitar playing even to be very percussive. We were talking about the James Brown biopic where he says every instrument is drums, and I've always found even on acoustic guitar and whatever you're playing, like one of the great examples for me is the riff at the beginning of Wistful. It's very rhythmic. It's creating a kind of rhythm of it on its own, even though the drums are very kind of 50s, it's really cool. Yeah. That guitar is creating a rhythm of its own. And some of the other examples, I mean, even on Susie's Field stuff, on Ghosts, very rhythmic guitar playing, very groove, very pocket. So it's good. It's you got very, I think, and I'm sure Anthony agrees that you got very rhythmic sensibilities where a lot of guitar players will just strum away. You're in there in the pocket and you're creating more rhythm, and that's what I think makes especially your electric playing really pop a lot of the time. It's cool.
Yeah, I think that might have come more from the Susie's days, trying to fit in. When you're playing with two guitarists, you've got to sort of you've got to feed off each other, and you've got to give each other space, and so you can quite easily. But you also want to give to the song, so you can quite easily just be what is the traditional lead singer, just strum along, and just you're not in the mix, just be really low in the mix.
You're not in the mix.
You're not in the mix.
How am I playing? Doesn't matter. You're not in the mix.
So, yeah, you'd be that sort of guitarist, but because we were swapping vocals, you. And also the cover songs we were playing, we also had to find parts, didn't we, to adapt to songs that didn't naturally have two guitars in them. So I think that's maybe where that sort of rhythmic playing came from. Why my electric guitar playing is more rhythmic than it is, leady or strummy or.
Yeah, I did a gig a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe. And it was the first gig in a long, long time where I played with two guitar players. It's been years. I don't know. It's just in everything I've done here so far, like a lot of the work I do even now is no guitar player, just a piano player and a drummer. But it's very difficult it must be very difficult as in a two guitar player setting to I mean, it's easy for myself and Anthony. You're always, unless you're in Chicory or something, you're always going to just have one drummer, one bass player, it's easy, but as a guitar player, like just finding those spaces and the guitar player that you're trying to fit in around in Susie's Field was Ali, who was a very, very rhythmic guitar player, very, full sounding, a lot of heavier sounds. So it was interesting, but your parts were super appropriate, and it was always throw it up in the mix, and it was easy,
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
So, as a music fan, and we've started asking people this, you're also a movie fan. So, Anthony, I'm going to let you into a little bit of Adam Marshall trivia here. This guy is a bit of a James Bond buff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I gotta ask you something. I don't think there's a single movie franchise in history where it couples the movie with music, because, of course, at the beginning of every Bond movie, there is a Bond song. Mm-hmm. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire, and I want to answer, Adam. What's your number one Bond song?
Oh, wow. That is that's a good question. I'm a more of a sucker for the older ones, so where am I going to go with this? I do like Tom Jones's Thunderball.
Okay.
Underrated. And I also do like From Russia with Love. So I'd probably, they're quite croony, aren't they, the earlier ones? Whereas they went quite modern. It may be more of an insight actually to find the ones I dislike. I wasn't a big fan of the Madonna one. Was that Die Another Day? I think she did.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That movie was,
Hmm.
you know,
Nah. Yeah, I think the franchise kind of lost its way towards the end of Brosnan's role.
He was too handsome. That's what it is.
Well, yeah. Well, it's same with Roger Moore. I mean, it lost its way towards the end. I mean, the guy was like nearly 70 or something, wasn't he? And he was trying to ogle all these ogle the young ladies and fight these other guys, and it just sort of
it didn't work.
Yeah, and there was too many sort of looks to the camera and eyebrows, and it's just got a bit silly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so. Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that question. That's a really interesting question. So who've we done the later ones? Adele did one, didn't she?
She did. Sam Smith did one.
Sam Smith. Yeah.
I'm gonna let you buy some time here. I'm gonna tell you what my favorite is, and it's always a toss up between two, and I always get yelled at. I get yelled at for saying this all the time. So it used to be "Live and Let Die."
it's great.
Which is a great song, but the Chris Cornell one to me is the best. It's such. I can't remember the name of it, but
was it Casino Royale?
Casino Royale was the movie. I think it was, or You'll Know My Name or something like that was the name of the song. But what a great the strings, the sound of his voice.
Actually.
What a great song. Great track. And my least favorite was the Jack White Alicia Keys. That was terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Bad movie, bad song.
Yeah.
What was that? Quantum of Solace?
That's right.
Yes, I think it was.
Which was apparently the first ever Bond sequel. But it didn't.
It went right from the Casino Royale movie to that one, right? Yeah. I feel like all the Daniel Craig ones are a little sequential.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, they are quite serious.
Since and you like the older Bond movies, because I've watched them, and here in the States, it would be every Thanksgiving. There would be a marathon, and I would always watch them. So and you're like, oh, who are all the Bonds? And Roger Moore, Sean Connery. There was this guy, Timothy Dalton, who maybe was in 2 of the movies, and I had like a DVD box set when I was a teenager, and I was just watching one after the other. So I put this one in. I don't remember the movie, but it doesn't even matter what movie it is. I wonder if you've seen it, where it's the beginning of the movie starts with him, Bond, and the guy Felix, who's the CIA guy, right? And they just, I'm not making this shit up. I didn't do drugs in high school. So him and Felix are like tuxed out, sort of, but they're like on a tropical island. They just got married to this woman who's in like a tropical looking wedding dress. They both married her. It was the weirdest fucking thing. They're both like, he's kissing her, and then the other guy's kissing her, and then I think what happened was she dies or something, or maybe something like that, and that sets the tone for. But do you remember this?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think that is it. License to Kill, maybe. It's the one sort of set in. Is it not in Florida somewhere? And doesn't Felix Leiter, I think, the day after that wedding, doesn't he get eaten by a shark, or they put him in a shark pool or something weird? But Dalton was way too friendly if that was his wife, if that was Felix Leiter's wife. Right. But if it wasn't his wife, and there was just some sort of bigamy going on there, I'll have to re-look at that one, because it didn't jump out at me at the time. I need to check that one out. Yeah.
I was thinking Anthony accidentally went to Pornhub instead of Netflix.
License to,
license to do whatever you want. It's fine. It's 2021. All right, Adam, you've had plenty of time. I want an answer. Favorite Bond song? Do it.
From Russia with Love.
Okay.
Love that one.
That's cool.
Let's go with that one.
And that was.
I was going to say it's a crooner. I just want to.
Was it your man, the Italian, the American Italian guy, Tony Bennett?
No, it wasn't. It was Matt Monro.
Matt Monro, you said?
Yeah, I'm pretty
That's
sure
right.
It was Matt Monro. Yeah, he's an old crooner guy.
Yeah. Matt Monro, from Russia with Love. Okay. So that's interesting. So how much of an influence was how much of an influence was jazz on you? Because you mentioned that you do gypsy jazz gigs.
Mm-hmm.
How immersed in jazz are you, and how much do you get to play these days?
So yeah, gypsy jazz is we don't do that so much anymore. We did it for a period last summer. Now I'm just playing in a quintet, so you trumpet, saxophone, in fact no guitar, which is weird. The first band I've been in with no guitars at all, apart from a bass guitar, obviously. So yeah, that's a different thing. So I play there every week, and so I'm learning the double bass, but that's pretty much takes up all my practice time. Basically, is learning, because it's jazz. You can spend your whole life learning about that stuff, and you'll never know everything. It's the same as any type of music, I suppose. But you do have to have a certain level of knowledge. You can't just turn up at a jazz gig, never played jazz before, and do the gig. Basically, you need to know the bass is probably one of the easier, perhaps with drums as well. You can jump in with not as much background knowledge. I've sort of dabbled with jazz ever since I was a teenager, really, but it's really involved. And so when I started getting into pop and rock music, I sort of, it was just in the back of my mind. I didn't really focus on it at all. Whereas now it's like 50-50 between the pop gigs I do with Matty and the jazz gigs I do every week. And we're doing some functions, I think, in the summer. And so yeah, it's hard, basically. It's really hard, a lot of it. And you've got to put the hours in, you've got to practice, or you're just going to get nowhere. But there's so many resources now to help you in that regard. Like with YouTube, I spend most of my day on YouTube looking at just not so much. I mean, this is a tip that I think I'd give to any musician. I'll probably give it to my son when he's old enough, if he wants to start learning an instrument. You can get the best teacher in the world, and parents tend to want to send their children to lessons and say you've got to go to a lesson to learn. I'd sort of disagree. I think there's a few things you need to know in terms of technique. Particularly, I can only speak for myself for guitar, but you've just got to do the hours yourself. A teacher can't make you practice. You're not going to get anywhere unless you practice. And I know you, Paulie, spent years when you were younger, listening to the radio and just playing bass and just playing bass and just playing bass and playing it again. And that's what you got to do. And it's interesting for me at a later time in my life to learn a new instrument like the double bass and realizing, it's not necessarily, you don't need lessons, you just need to practice loads, and you're not going to get better very quickly. It's you've got to look at it in months, perhaps years. Not, I'm not very good and I've been doing it for 6 weeks, so I'm going to give it up. It's just way longer than that. Try six years and you might be or at least 6 months, practicing every day, and you might get to a certain level. And I think that's a really important thing that I've learned and I've sort of experienced in the last, I've only been playing it 6 months. So I'm nowhere near good enough to gig it yet, but I will be, I think, within another 6 months. But that's playing every day, and you just got, there's no substitute for that. You just got to put the hours in, improve.
Yeah, constant listening too, and imitation.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the musicians that learn the fastest are really good listeners. I think. That's cool though. That's cool that you're taking on. So different than writing songs. It's so different. Yeah. It's just a completely different animal.
It's cool that you're doing it at this age as well. You're 41 at.
Yeah.
It's very, because so many musicians just be like, no, I've learned all I need to learn. It's growth. You're growing. You're still growing as a musician, and you're still realizing here's a new staircase to climb, and it's and it is. Speaking as a bass player that's dabbled in double bass, and I know you remember my toothpick that I used to have. Yeah. I did a little bit. It is a different instrument. I mean, you could be a very proficient electric bass player, and as soon as you get on the upright, it's a very physical. The physicality of it is different. The timbre is different. The the way you got to approach, and then of course you're learning it in the context of jazz, which is, I mean, the most complex form of music that you can come across. And it's,
sure.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you must be enjoying it, right? You must be loving it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, I think the reason that I've gone for it is because I have so many transferable skills. You know, it's not as if I don't play any other instruments and I'm just learning double bass as my first instrument. I think you can definitely bring a load over from the electric bass and a load over from the guitar, but it's still very different. There's a technique that you need to learn. There's no shortcuts to that.
Absolutely.
But it's not like starting from scratch. I think that's the reason I've gone for it, is because I'm sort of almost there.
Yeah.
You know, the jump up is not as high as, say, learning to play piano in a jazz band. That'd take ages, years. So yeah, I think I'm really enjoying it. You know, my fingers were in bits for the first few weeks. Like you're getting blisters on parts of your finger that you never use on the electric bass, because you're putting them in a different position. It's just weird. And you know, the thumb, that muscle there, that by your thumb, that having, you know, holding your hand for that long, you forget. You used to get it when you started playing guitar, but I hadn't got it for ages, because it's just the neck's so fat on it, and the strings are so thick.
You know what I used to find when I played upright was this, holding your hand up for that long.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just like you can't do it for that long. I mean, it's crazy.
It is. It's so much more physical. Yeah. I did actually take it down to a gig once, and I played 2 songs, and I was just sweating. And as soon as I sat down and played the electric, it just completely dried up after like 1 song, and I was back to normal. You just forget. You don't know what you're doing, but you're doing something more physical than you are when you're playing down here.
It's like being with a large woman.
It is. It is.
It's like being with a large. Yeah, it is, right? It's like, you know, kind of a. Where do you go from there? So now you're talking about playing upright bass. You do have we can see here, listeners, we are looking at Adam's studio, and we've got some instruments in there, and front and center there is the double bass. Tell us about this particular instrument that you got behind you.
Yeah, so this is made in, I think it's Budapest.
Wow.
By a guy, a luthier out there who, it's all obviously handmade, hand-carved solid wood, with like a little fisherman pickup at the bottom and a lovely bridge, and it's yours for £12,000.
My God,
which is what, $15,000 or something. Which to have behind me, I try not to think about it too much.
Yeah. You move your chair around very carefully. Yeah.
No, exactly. Teddy's not allowed anywhere near this room.
Oh my goodness, right? Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, it's really well made. So I mean, you've got to do something really stupid to, he says, touch wood, to do some serious damage to it. You've got to do, you know, like those where they start jumping on top of it and stuff, the rockabilly
guys.
I wouldn't be doing that, not with this bad boy.
Spinning it around, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't really want to be doing that with this. So yeah, it's just it is nice to play, but I haven't really got anything to compare it to. So I've ordered one, which is a laminate one made in China that's arriving soon, I think, but it's being set up by a guy in the UK. And hopefully I'll get it in the next couple of weeks, but be interested to compare the two. I mean, I know that it's not going to be as nice to play as that, because it can't be. It just can't be, you know.
Oh my God,
but I'm hoping it's still playable, and then at least that way I can get that thing out of my house and, you know, not have to worry.
It would just be stressful to have that in the house. You know?
It's just crazy. Well, I can't imagine spending that on like an acoustic, any other instrument. Can you? Like, how can you spend that amount of money on any instrument?
I don't think I've my car and my house. That's it. That's all I've spent that on. Yeah.
Yeah. And you just take this thing to gigs and stuff, and you put it in a little bag and just cart it around. It's just like, wow.
It's unbelievable watching the New York City jazz musicians, bass players, with a fucking wheel.
Oh yeah,
like a tire at the bottom of it, wheeling through the subways. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Boom, down the steps.
Yeah, And I would be freaking out because the amount of people you're going to bump into and shit like that. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I haven't even thought about that.
How do you get them around? Do you put it in the back of your? Do you have a truck?
So no, I've got a smart car, unfortunately, so it definitely won't fit in there. So
Strapped to the roof.
I do have access to like a little bit. Do you remember my little yellow van I had, Paulie? I've got one similar to that, a white one, but I can borrow now and again, so it fits in the back of that comfortably. But as I say, I don't take it to gigs. A, because I don't have a vehicle that can, and B, because I'm not good enough yet.
Right.
But I will be, hopefully. I'm confident in the next few months I'll be able to maybe do half a set or something.
Cool, man.
At least give it a whirl.
That's awesome. That's really awesome that you have that right there in that room. I also see a couple of Martin guitars here. We had the conversation with Gerald Edward last week about Martin versus Taylor. So are you a guy, you have no Taylors in your house? No Taylors allowed?
No, I wouldn't have them in the ass.
Oh,
no.
wait, there you go.
We don't have any Taylors. No, I'm a Martin man. I don't really know why. I've nothing against Taylors, to be honest. I know a couple of. You remember Charlie, don't you? He's a big into Taylors. So I've got an OM orchestra model there, and then the Martin D35 at the back, which is like a dreadnought.
Yeah. Now, did you go to the? Do I remember you saying you went to the factory for one of those, or did you make it to the factory?
No, I wish I could have gone to the factory, because it's right by you. It's not far from your place, is it?
It's about 30 minutes from me. Yeah, it's right at Nazareth. I actually I bought a guitar from a factory.
Did you? Oh,
I didn't buy a nice guitar from the factory. I bought a cheap guitar from the factory, but it's from the factory.
Yeah, sure.
And they've got like a little museum in there, and like the guitar that I bought, they were like, "Oh, what guitar would you like?" I was like, "It was one of the less expensive orchestra models. It was a Sapili body and top, and it's a lovely guitar, and I still play it from time to time. But they go back and they get it from the line. They literally, here's a guitar, here's one we just made. Like you can smell the glue on it and everything. And it's got like Martin. I use Martin retro strings, the nickel ones. And it's got a new set of those on it, and it's. But I'm the same. I mean, and Gerald last week was the same, and he was like, no Taylors. And I've got a theory about it. So it's all about the feel of the guitar, right? I mean, there's a distinct, the main difference between a Martin guitar and a Taylor guitar physically is that the Martin has a fatter neck. The Taylor has it's more narrow at the nut where the head stock joins the neck. And I just think it's because Martin players have girthier dicks. It's got to be, right? What do you think?
Gertie Wunder.
I got to have a Gertie Wunder. So you can, hopefully Charlie will listen to this. Hopefully Charlie listens to this podcast and his wife doesn't. So.
It's a good theory. It needs some further investigation, I think.
Yeah. I think we'll. I think we're just going to leave that one there.
Yeah, let's leave it. Let's leave it there.
But it's kind of a phenomenon, though, isn't it? Because we were talking about this with Gerald last week, and it's like, like I've had. I mean, my main bass now is I use two basses. I use a Music Man, and I use a Warwick. I have no problem having a Music Man and a Warwick. I would have no problem using a Music Man and having a Fender on the stand next to me, but we simply will not have a Martin and a Taylor.
No,
it's crazy.
It's true, isn't
it? It's such a cult thing. It's crazy.
Yeah,
you guys are crazy. I don't know even what you're talking about.
Right? Yeah. Got the drummer over here. So, like, what's next? Musically for you, and then what's next in life? I mean, are you going to continue self-producing? Is there anything in the works right now that we can look forward to?
So, well, yeah, I'm always writing, whether it's ready to be released or not. I'll work on projects, and if I think it's good enough, I'll put it out there. But I've got hundreds of projects that I didn't feel were worth sharing with anyone. So I just keep them to myself, or I didn't feel they needed any more work. I just thought I'd leave it there. That's not really, it's not as I thought it was going to be. So you just move on. So yeah, I'll continue as I am, getting ideas down. A lot of my spare time now is obviously taken up learning that thing over there. So it's difficult, and that's my only barrier now is time to do any of this stuff, because I work during the day. And the gigs are coming back, and I've got Teddy, and I've got other things going on, so it's really hard now to just have the time to really dedicate to writing and recording, because I love it, but it's time consuming. Sure. It's hard.
Do you think that the playing jazz already do you notice any change in how you're thinking about or approaching writing, or do you think it eventually will change?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. The song Feel It Coming. So that's like a chord sequence intro. And it's basically just inversions of a G major 7, just going up the neck. And that's the shapes that I use on the electric guitar, gypsy jazz chord voicings. And so that's a perfect example of exactly that. I would not have used that chord sequence 12 months ago or 24 months ago, because I wouldn't have known those voicings. Okay. So it's interesting how I can, you can draw on anything, anything you're playing. It doesn't matter what genre it is, what key it's in or whatever. You just never know when it's going to strike, and you think, there's a little, I can use that. I like that. It's great the way that music can do that, and you can just get inspiration from anywhere. So yeah, there's an example, a perfect example of me using the jazz in the pop,
That's
crossover.
Great. That's great, and it's exciting to I'm looking forward to hearing your next songs, man.
Yeah, great. I mean, I'm always hoping to get something else out there. I've got one that's nearly done, but there's something about it I'm not happy with, and so I just need to. I don't know if it's more the arrangement side of things, or it's just the way I've recorded certain of the vocals, maybe, or I'm getting adept now at just thinking, I don't like that verse, I'm just going to completely take it out and put a new verse in. Whereas before, I'd have been reluctant to do that. I'd have been reluctant. I'd just say, I'll leave the song as it is. Don't make such wholesale changes. But because you're in Logic, because I'm writing in Logic now, you just like cut, pull it out, and just record a new bit. It's so easy. That's maybe what I'll do with that. I may just take it back to the drawing board and just go back to the arrangement side of things and pull out some bits and make sure I'm happy with it, and then hopefully get it out there. And then maybe before the end of the year with a bit of luck.
Yeah, it's weird because you do, like you said earlier on, you get less precious about your songwriting, your art as you get older, and it's kind of, you get more relaxed and you tend to enjoy it more. But sorry, Anthony, what did you have there?
No, I was just going to say, the way that you're using Logic, it sounds like you've found a way to make writing work within your time constraint, and just because of your life. I think that's great, actually. I think that's helpful for anybody listening who's a songwriter. It's really helpful to hear, is that, and I think any musician, instrumentalist specifically, I think you should learn a DAW, how to navigate it, how to use recording software. You should learn how to hook up an interface to your device.
Yeah.
And I think, Adam, you're a great example of that. You're doing all of this stuff from home yourself, and I'm sure when you started doing it, it didn't come to you right away. Same with me when I started about 5 years ago, I think, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, recording drums. Yeah, it's like I didn't know what an EQ band did. I had no, you just fuck around until, I like that. Now can I remember what I did to get,
yeah, and getting into that space where you're like, the only rule is there's no rules. I mean, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but if it sounds good to you, it means it's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. And it's awesome.
Yeah, sure. You can dive down the rabbit hole of getting too into gear and trying to make it sound perfect and all that. It's just never going to sound perfect. So just get a good performance captured. Put a bit of reverb on it, and send it out. Don't get too bogged down into the whole audio technology side of things, because it can hold you back.
That's right.
And you're on a hiding to nothing. You're never gonna get there. You're never gonna get like the fully fledged studio. Well, I say you're never gonna. You might do. It's quite unlikely, but you might do.
Yeah. I've thought about it. I've thought about selling my house, and but it's to get the best milk, you got to treat the udder right, and that's a good image to leave you with. Well, Adam, you're 5 hours ahead of us here, so it's getting to bedtime for, well, Teddy's been in bed for hours, and it's getting time for Daddy to go to bed.
It certainly is.
Adam, thank you so much for spending a couple of hours with us. This was great. It was really good to catch up with you, and Anthony, I'm sure you agree.
Good to meet you, man.
Nice, yeah, great to meet you too. Thanks.
And I'd love to. Hopefully, one day in the future, we get to play together. It'd be fantastic.
That would be amazing. Actually, I'd love that. I'd love that for sure.
Great. Awesome, guys. Listen, Adam Marshall. You'll have heard some of his material throughout the podcast. We've been dropping it in when we've been talking about it. Artist name, he goes under the name Dennisson. He's on. We're going to put all the links. Spotify, social media. Adam, you've got I've
Instagram? Got Instagram and Facebook.
Okay,
those two. Perfect.
Well, we're gonna put all the links and everything in the podcast information, and thanks for spending the time. Thanks for sharing your insights on your music. And I've been friends with you for so long. I've gone through every phase of music fandom. So being your friend, being your colleague, and now I get to be a fan, which is it's really enjoyable. So this has been an absolute pleasure, and come back and talk to us again sometime. We'd love that.
Yes.
Love to, yeah. Great. Thanks very much for your time, guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Cool, man. Awesome.
Right, everybody. Take care, and badum biz to you.